I know that when this is all over, you'll be back to work, helping people as much as you can.
We are surely going to prevail.
Mom, Dad, the president's right, you know. Stay home, stay safe, and we will get through this together.
This year's conference takes on huge significance as governments and organizations respond to the COVID crisis. This crisis is close to all, risks the health of every citizen, and impacts the ability of companies to deliver on their transformational goals. Is this an opportunity to grow a new economy with a distribution of economic participation that better reflects our demographics? One that leverages our undeniable talent and potential. This is our opportunity. This is the path to a fairer, more inclusive economy. And I'm proud to be introducing our next session, sponsored by Samsung. Introducing our next speaker, Sello Hatang from the Nelson Mandela Foundation. I'm Zanele Morrison from the Johannesburg Stock Exchange.
Thank you very much for that really good introduction, which actually all I always say that I need to be introduced as is just a Kaizer Chiefs fan, nothing more, and I'm just a simple Kaizer Chiefs fan. But thank you for this opportunity. And I'm hoping that one will be able to address all the issues that, or some of the issues that you have raised, and that the conference will then be able to go ahead with some of the key themes that you want to touch on. This opportunity comes at a time when we're facing a difficult period in our history. So what I'm going to do is do a talk that's in two parts. The first part being on our history, how this transformation has been going historically, and then talk about COVID today. What do we mean by transformation? I use the term in its broadest sense, as it was used by Madiba as his first democratic administration sought to transform a society shaped indelibly by colonialism and apartheid into the one imagined by our constitution. Madiba and his government adopted three interlinked and overlapping strategies for transformation. The first one being nation building, through the deployment of new inclusive shared symbols and meta-narratives. The second one being the putting in place of special instruments to effect redress and reparation for the past. The third being the longer-term restructuring of the state and the economy to ensure that the sharing of wealth and the effecting of equal access to opportunity. Nation building was spearheaded by Madiba himself, for whom national reconciliation was a priority for his presidency. Under his leadership, a wide range of special instruments were put in place. And for example, we had the Truth and Reconciliation Commission led by Archbishop Tutu, a land restitution process aimed at returning land or providing compensation to people who were forcibly removed from 1913 to 1994. A broader land reform program aimed at transferring 30% of white commercial farmland to black farmers by 2014. The implementation of employment equity policies such as affirmative action, favoring previously disadvantaged sectors of our society. And of course, the one that you will be most probably discussing even more, Black economic empowerment, a policy and a program that was designed to at least, again, ensure that there was African ownership of the economy. The awarding of special pensions to persons who made meaningful contributions during the struggle for freedom was another element. The establishment of a missing persons program within the Department of Justice was a mandate which was given so that we could locate the remains of persons murdered by the apartheid state and to return them to their families. Arguably, the capacity of these strategies outlined above to secure traction hinged on the ability of the post-apartheid government to ensure the restructuring of the state and the economy, so that the system of sharing of wealth and effecting of equal access to opportunity. Suffice it to note that despite prioritizing social welfare, the state has had little success in shifting resilient apartheid-era socio-economic patterns. So that South Africa, by most measures, remains the most unequal society on earth today. This fundamental, underlying and growing inequality has deterred South Africa's attempts to come to terms with its past. More specifically, it has led nation building to wear thin and has subverted the work of the country's special instruments to redress and reparation. And I think maybe we need to pause here to note that one of the reasons we have the kind of fractures that we have in our country at the moment, where racism keeps rearing its head, that you have xenophobia, attacks of non-nationals, particularly the ones who come from the African continent, the sense of self-hate. It's because for many, they still see that the road ahead is still too long to even contemplate participating, because there hasn't been much change in their lives as we speak. So we remain largely untransformed. So what COVID has done is to hold the mirror so close to our faces about what we should have done that we failed to do in the many years that have gone by. And COVID has made it abundantly clear that we need to be doing more. I want to please urge you to listen to the UN Secretary General last week, delivery of the 18th Mandela Annual Lecture. He wasn't talking about South Africa, by the way, but his analysis applied to us in a very direct and painful way. And I quote him, if you can please join me. He says, COVID-19 has been likened to an X-ray, revealing fractures in the fragile skeleton of the societies we have built. It is exposing fallacies and falsehoods everywhere. The lie that free market can deliver health care for all. The fiction that unpaid care work is not work. The delusion that we live in a post-racist world. The myth that we are all in the same boat. Because while we are all floating on the same sea, it's clear that some of us are in super yachts while others are clinging to the floating debris. He continues, dear friends, inequality defines our time, close quote. So as a country, we are not alone. That's what this message is saying to us. And like all other countries, we face the danger of allowing COVID-19 to distract us from the systemic dimensions of inequality, racism, patriarchy, and ecological depredation. The challenge, my friends, is to combat COVID-19 by transforming our society. COVID-19 so easily seduces countries and communities and families to elevate their own survival above everything else. We protect ourselves, not the others. We must get jobs first, not nationals, not refugees. We must be getting the ones, be the ones who benefit from all the state that can offer, but not everybody else who is also in need. We prioritize our own interests. We put our safety first. Stay in our homes. So in other words, it starts with the individual protecting themselves, moves on to families protecting just themselves, communities saying we don't want others to come into our space and then countries looking inward and saying, how do we protect ourselves even more? And I think for as long as we would then live like this, we will not move as nations. And South Africa is no different. The interest of those others can wait, we argue, because COVID says so. But they can't. If transformation is left unattended until afterwards, then the task will have grown exponentially. And for many others, there will simply not be an afterwards, or at least there will not be an afterwards worth living for. I want to remind us that it's the same kind of argument that was used on struggles for women's rights. After women joined men on the streets to struggle for a free South Africa, women were told, wait, let's first make sure that the economy works. You have to wait. Let's make sure that we can have our education work. And as a result, many women have lost their lives, have lost hope in a system that can then protect their interests. And then we are surprised when we have kind of gender-based violence and other abuses that we have in our system. And that, my friends, is also the argument of the Black Lives Matter movement. Black lives globally, here in South Africa, everywhere, have been disposable, even more so under COVID-19. And that must stop. It must stop now. It can't be right. I don't know if any of you followed the story that Siyakolisi told about the journey that he traveled in terms of the Springboks. Many of us would have also followed the story of Makhaya Ntini in the cricket team. It reminds us, of course, of the time that Madiba was insisting on transformation of the Springboks. And he had to be dragged to court by Louis Late. And Madiba, again, being the person that he was, went to court and presented a case. And until such time that we make these cases, connect us to back when Madiba and others were fighting for a more transformed society, we cannot, again, I emphasize, wait. Collins Khoza and the many others who were killed by police in recent times should remind us that we cannot wait in terms of transformation. In a country where 70% of senior managers in the private sector are still white, we cannot wait. 85% of full professors at UCT are still white. We cannot wait. 1 in 4 6-year-olds suffer from malnutrition and stunting. And all these depend on a draw of the lottery. The color of your skin, where were you born, who are your parents, determine whether you succeed or not. As a result, Black Lives Matter today, not tomorrow. We have to then transform our society today, not tomorrow. It can't be right that Black lives still don't matter in the country of Nelson Mandela, the country of the many who have survived and who have died just to make sure that we have the country that we have. It is time to revisit Madiba's transformation agenda of the 1990s. It is time to make it work. We are running out of time. And as COVID says, slow down a little bit. We must then say we slowed down too long on transformation. We want to move today to make sure that it works for all who live in South Africa. I want to end off on a note that says that until such time that we commit ourselves, not in words but in action, we will again have a conference like we have today, in which we address the same issues in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years. And those who are still to be born will be born in a country that we cannot be proud of. I urge you, colleagues and friends, that we do everything possible to transform our companies, our society today, so that we country can all be proud of. Thank you very much.
remember that day. We sat anxiously waiting to hear the president speak. We listened as he asked us to be courageous.
Be courageous, to be patient.
And if we stand together, we'll get through it together. Dad, I remember when the floods came. You went to help people who had lost their homes. I also remember when you and Samsung helped young kids learn computer skills with a new lab designed for the future. I know that when this is all over, you'll be back to work helping people as much as you can.
We are surely going to prevail.
Mom, Dad, the president's right, you know. Stay home, stay safe, and we will get through this together.
And I hope that it will serve to inspire younger people to devote their lives and efforts to the transformation of this country.
About what we're doing, creating and operating digital workforces, sometimes delivered over
countries innovators, but also a platform.
This year we're guiding
See how they were able to persevere.